Brain versus Heart Debate by Piper, Bridget, Kurt, Ryan, and Mahi. Is our brain the source of our thoughts, feeling, and behavior? The brain hypothesis versus the heart hypothesis is one that has been argued for centuries, dating back to the Egyptians. The Egyptians believed the heart held mind and the soul and was the source of all wisdom as well as memory, emotion, personality, and all life forces. So it was left inside its place in the body. The original of the brain versus heart debate can be traced back to writings of the ancient Greek philosophers. Amongst the earliest surviving documented records are those of Alcmaeon and Empedocles. Empedocles and Alcmaeon. Alcmaeon located the mental process in the brain and therefore took the brain side of the debate. This view is often called the brain hypothesis. Empedocles located mental processes in the heart and therefore took the heart side of the debate. This view is called the heart hypothesis. The pros and cons of each side were debated for the next 2,000 years. Alcmaeon, about 500 BCE, is widely regarded as the first person to identify the brain as the source of mental processes. He was interested in anatomy and sometimes dissected organs in dead animals. For example, he discovered the optic nerve connecting the eyes to the brain, probably by dissecting an eyeball. This led him to believe that all our senses are connected to the brain in some way. Therefore, the brain was the center of understanding and played a vital role in perceptions, thoughts, and other mental processes. It also followed that if the brain was injured, then its functions could be disrupted or stopped. Empedocles is best known for his theory that everything is made up of earth, fire, air, and water. He thought that our perceptions were formed in our blood, and hence the heart must be the center of all mental processes. Aristotle. Another Greek philosopher, Aristotle, also believed that mental processes were located in the heart and gave no function to the brain. Instead, he thought the brain acted as a cooling system to keep the blood temperature down. Hippocrates and Herophilus. Ancient Greek physicians, Hippocrates and Herophilus, took the brain side of the debate. These physicians scientifically dissected bodies of animals and people and painstakingly recorded their observations with diagrams and pictures. Hippocrates wrote that all our emotions arise from the brain and the brain alone, and that with the brain we think and understand, see and hear. Galen. Greek physician Galen argued strongly for the brain side of the debate. Galen worked as a physician for gladiators and noted a few things about the brain. He realized that brain injuries sometimes cause changes in behavior and that applying pressure to parts of the brain could cause changes in behavior and emotions, whereas similar manipulation of the heart had no effect. Galen also observed that those dying from heart wounds still were able to think rationally, hence the heart mustn't be the root of all rational thinking. Despite thinking well ahead of his time, Galen was wrong in his assumption that the fluid in the ventricles, which were the most important part. It wasn't until 1,500 years later, in the early 19th century, when we began to learn more about the brain and discover that the ventricles were not the most important part. Nonetheless, due to the foundations that Galen set, the brain hypothesis is now the most universally accepted theory of consciousness.